Heiner 24. Savor the excellence at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. Elevate your taste buds with their range of sandwiches from the savory Philly steak to tempting turkey bacon avocado. Explore crispy chicken, fish, brisket, and pulled pork options. Check out mavericksbeef.com or visit them off Lexington and Roseville. That's Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ news and talk show on the radio in the United States. I am your host, John Parker, joined in studio by my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
Also streaming on our YouTube channel right now. And if you like what we're doing there, subscribe, leave us a comment about how you're enjoying today's show. All right, in the second half hour of our episode today, it is Caucus Day in Minnesota. So how is the DFL preparing for any potential ICE activity? Will Operation Metro Surge have any impact on the 12 candidates running for the GOP nomination? As a reminder, one of those candidates, a leading candidate, dropped out last Monday, 2 days after the shooting death of Alex Preddy, saying that he cannot be in a party that can't stand up to ICE actions, and actually just dropped out of being a Republican altogether. So we'll see what happens today when GOP voters cast their preference ballots. But up first, Lookout Publications delivers fearless journalism and community events with the unified purpose to improve and expand LGBTQ plus representation on the local news stage while strengthening and engaging LGBTQ plus communities and their allies in the queer experience. Joseph Darius Jafari is the founder and editor-in-chief. He is a reporter, photographer, documentary filmmaker who has served as an investigative reporter for the Arizona Republic and Spotlight PA, among many journalism roles that he has had across his career and media outlets across the country. Joseph, it's been too long. Welcome back to The Gailey Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So obviously, as folks who have been listening, this has become basically a ICE podcast every day of the week, because how can it not be? But something that we are very wanting to attune to is how ICE is taking what they're learning here and bringing it out to the rest of the country. And I've been following your publications, particularly your newsletters now, for a few weeks. And you all had a really good roundup of ICE activity and legislation related to that that you put out last week. Lookout is based in Arizona. So what have you found out? What is happening in your state that ICE is doing?
So basically, it's funny because, well, dare I say funny, but it's interesting because, after the shooting of Alex Preddy, we really saw this wave of interest here in Arizona. People wanted to come out into their streets, right? And ever since then, I've been at different convenings, different talks, and almost everybody who goes to these convenings and talks have raised their hands and said, like, oh, I'm here because of the shooting. And there's been a swell of people who have been trying to get involved since the shooting. That being said, there has been a very big increase in ICE activity here in Arizona. The news that kind of has swept the nation right now is ICE has bought, or the Department of Homeland Security has bought, a $70 million facility in Surprise, just north of here in Phoenix. They also have increased their presence in Tucson, which is, not too far away from the border. Border Patrol has been making their way into Phoenix as far as we can see. We've seen Border Patrol trucks, which we're well far away from the 100-mile limit from the border, but we've seen Border Patrol trucks in the neighborhoods. So there has been an increased activity. We know there's going to be a surge of activity. We've already started to see it. And even the Monday after Alex Preddy's shooting, we documented, as well as a number of other local news organizations documented, a massive Department of Homeland Security raid on 15 different businesses across Phoenix, at different sports bars. There's an HSI raid. So with that, there's also been quite a bit of legislation that has been proposed to kind of protect ICE activity here in Arizona. There was a bill proposed, actually right after Renee Good got shot, and killed, that there was a bill proposed here that would essentially make it a class 5 felony to intercede with any kind of activity of ICE. And what we know is that there's this old kind of legislative legal definition of impeding, an officer, but this would expand that definition. Now, the thing is that we do have a governor who has signaled that she might veto these bills. We have a majority in both in the House and the Senate that would easily pass a lot of the bills that are, empowering ICE or empowering local lawmakers to continue these kinds of detainments. They could get through, but we have seen a signaling from the governor that she might veto it. However, it is an election year, and she is having to go against people like Andy Biggs, who is our congressperson, as well as a local fairly moderate Republican. Her name is Robeson. So it's really up to see when it comes to the veto pen what she will allow through.
I'm curious. I'm just going to mention one situation that I know of up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where two lesbian women had just gotten out of their car to go to a protest, and one of them said to an ICE officer, "Why do you have such a big gun?" And he shoves her down on the ground, and the other woman says, "Don't push my girlfriend." He shoves her down on the ground. So just let your legislators know, you don't have to intercede. You can simply make a comment to one of these goons, and they're going to throw you on the ground. So I don't think they need protection. We need protection from them. And I know you agree with that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to kind of be reporting on this, because essentially, it's one thing to be looking at it in Minneapolis and Los Angeles and Chicago and DC, even in New Orleans, and then for it to really be on our doorsteps here in Arizona at the same time. We are very different than all these other cities that they're taking part in. I was just having a conversation about this very recently at a town hall, where we aren't maybe as clued in with our neighbors. We don't necessarily have the same systems that a lot of other cities have. We're very urban sprawl. The entire point of moving to Arizona is that idea of rugged independence and like individualism. So it's been interesting to kind of see the pushback against ICE here, but also it's been worrying for a lot of the activists working in this space and anti-ICE activists working in this space who are trying to figure out exactly what to do with a population that is basically disengaged.
Yep.
Have you been seeing the level of violence that we've been experiencing here in Minnesota? By what I mean by that is just the aggressiveness that agents seem to have here. We didn't see that in Chicago. That was largely National Guard. We didn't see that in LA. But here it's just been, they've upped the level of aggression and violence. Have you been seeing that in Arizona at all?
So we have been hearing about it. We have not been seeing it because we have not had the amount of people on the ground, going to all these different places, posting the videos in the same way that Minneapolis has, right? But for, just a great example, the Monday after Alex Preddy was shot, DHS Border Patrol shot somebody here at the border. And that person was in critical condition. They haven't released the name of the person who was shot. So we know the fact that there has been violence. What was captured even on the Monday of the HSI raids across the city, we saw that the Department of Homeland Security agents were pepper spraying people just as they were driving their truck by, not even getting involved with people, just they were driving by on the street and just pepper spraying people as they were driving. But we haven't been seeing as far as like online, we haven't been seeing the amount of violence that y'all have been seeing in Minneapolis. However, that's not to say that it hasn't existed. It just hasn't been captured. But we have heard of this happening. And even to the extent of people inside of ICE detention facilities, there is a lesbian woman who has been denied her leukemia care here in Arizona, and she has lost, according to her loved one, has lost tens and tens of pounds, is coughing up blood, and ICE has not responded to our requests of information or even that person. But that is just one example. There was another man who died HIV, not being treated for his HIV.
Oh, Joseph, I think we're losing you on your connection.
Should he log back in?
Maybe.
Oh, am I still here?
So live radio, folks. Joseph, are you back?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You
Sorry,
just lost the last bit of that.
Oh,
well, so
well,
what we can recommend here is what Governor Wall said: is everybody get your cameras out and everybody start filming everything. But I don't know all of my international law, and I really regret not taking my parents' demands and becoming a lawyer when I was 18 years old, because who knew everybody had to be a civil rights lawyer, an international human rights lawyer. But denying people medicine is a crime, isn't it, under international law? Like, when you know you've incarcerated somebody that has a documented medical condition and you're saying, no, we're not going to give you medicine and access to treatment for leukemia and HIV, that's a human rights violation. Yes? Do you know?
So well, I won't speculate on like the legality of it, but what I do know is that it doesn't even comport with the way that they're supposed to be doing things. And again, we have to say allegedly because this is just what we've heard. We don't actually have any kind of confirmation because it's so hard to get information from inside. But what the ICE facilities are supposed to follow the same protocol as any other federal facility when it comes to medication. And that is supposed to be, if somebody has a medical need, you treat it. If somebody has a dire medical need, you put them in an infirmary or you send them to a hospital. We know that is something that all federal facilities have to follow, and that is something that ICE facilities must follow as well. However, we're also seeing that ICE facilities are, removing, protections for rape against trans people and gay people inside of their facilities as well, especially the one here in Eloy. I believe it was, I can't remember the publication off the top of my head, but they recently released, the documents that showed that ICE detention facilities across the nation, including here in Arizona, have removed protections, specifically rape protections for people who are trans or queer inside of their detention facilities. So whether or not they should, it's obviously a question of, of course they shouldn't, but it's whether or not they are is a harder, it's harder to see because everything has been so opaque these days.
I'm coming up on a break here. Are you able to stick around for another segment with us? Because I've got questions. We're talking with Joseph Darius Jafari, who is the founder and editor-in-chief of Lookout Publications. It is an amazing publication out of Arizona, and y'all just need to be reading it and subscribing to their newsletters, because I do, and it is fantastic journalism, folks. You do some really amazing work out there. So we're going to take that break. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 Radio, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. More after this very quick break.
Blue Man Group's North American Tour is coming to the State Theater February 13th through 15th. Dive into the thrilling Blue Man Group experience, a blend of captivating music, interactive art, and audience engagement. Blue Man Group creates a fun, disruptive, and out-of-the-ordinary atmosphere that exhilarates the senses and uplifts spirits for audiences of all ages. Tickets are on sale now at hennepinarts.org.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
Uncover the rich history of Minnesota through Whoosh, a lively and deeply moving ghost tale. Solo artist Andrew Erskine Wheeler masterfully brings to life a range of characters, intertwining the rich history of St. Anthony Falls in the post-Civil War era with the story of his Irish heritage. This award-winning show weaves a hauntingly local and unforgettable ghost story through compelling song and storytelling. The History Theater's Whoosh plays January 29th through February 22nd. Find tickets at historytheater.com.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am John Parker. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. Joseph Darius Jafari is the founder and editor-in-chief of Lookout Publications. Lookout News is fierce, queer, and covering all of Arizona with some absolutely spectacular journalism. You need to be reading their work at lookoutnews.org. Joseph is our guest for this first half hour. Excuse me, Joseph, do you know more about this facility in terms of your reporting? They've purchased the facility. What's happening in them is I would allege a humanitarian crisis. We found out about 4 kids from a local elementary school that are in a Texas facility that's having a measles outbreak right now. So do you know anything more about the facility that they've purchased in your state?
Unfortunately, we don't know much of anything right now. We know that obviously they purchased it for $70 million in cash. The city of Surprise, which, just for your listeners' kind of knowledge, so Phoenix is very large, and so Surprise is kind of part of Metro Phoenix, and it's just northwest of downtown. So it's not very far from the city at all. It's about 30 minutes, a 30-minute drive. But all that to say is, so the city of Surprise has said they didn't have any kind of conversation or any kind of direct involvement with the sale of the building, which is approximately about 7 football fields long. It's quite big. And so, but we do know that they're going to retrofit this warehouse along with other warehouses across the nation to be detention centers. We just don't have any kind of inclination as to when or how or what they're going to look like. There's obviously a lot of worries when you retrofit a warehouse into a detention space, what that's going to look like with heating and cooling. We are still a desert, so it gets very hot here during the summer and it gets very cold here during the winter. So when we're looking at 120 degrees, 115 degree weather in the summer, and you're packing around 8,000 people into a warehouse, we don't really know what that might look like.
So over the weekend in Texas, in a district that went for Trump by 17 points in 2024, a Democrat won it by 14 points. So that's a 31-point swing. We're going to see here tonight, we're monitoring what's going to happen at the caucuses here for how Republican voters are going to turn out and who they're going to vote for their nominee for governor. Do you feel like there is any as of yet, because you have a gubernatorial election as well, do you see any movement on the Republican side about shutting down ICE, making it a liability for Republicans?
So the protests that I've covered so far, and we're down a couple reporters, so it's actually just me doing all the work right now. So I've been going out to all the different protests so far, and I've actually been coming across a number of Republicans who say, I'm a Republican, I voted for Trump, and this is not what I wanted, and I can't believe this is happening. That being said, Arizona is a really weird state. right? So we are considered purple for the past couple elections, but I think we're considered purple because we've had some really weird people in power. We've had weird people who are kind of running up against, Democrats. So when we had Carrie Lake run up against Katie Hobbs, we had somebody who was very, 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 on the fringe, meeting with somebody who is, arguably very centrist. Same thing when it comes to like Kirsten Sinema. It's like somebody going against somebody who's very fringe, somebody who's very centrist. So I think we're basically purple just by default these days. That might change, especially if there is the right Republican in, who wins the primaries. So if there's a situation where Andy Biggs wins the primary, we might be back in a situation of a Katie Hobbs versus Carrie Lake situation. Yeah. But if, Andy Biggs doesn't win the primary and it goes to Robeson, I apologize, I can't remember her first name right now, but it goes to Robeson, who is arguably seen as a very centrist Republican, but who has endorsed all of, the Trump, movement so far. It might be a different situation altogether.
Isn't your legislature pretty close? I mean, I feel like the Republicans only have a couple of seat advantage over the Democrats. Am I remembering that right?
So there is a couple seat advantage, but it's not a couple seats that you have to win 3 or 4. It's like you have to sway 6 or 7. Oh. And that's a sway that is not really, it has not been shown to be very effective, especially when we're looking. A lot of the things that we're seeing are, especially when it comes to culture war issues, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to queer issues, they really are voting along party lines. And so what we're going to be seeing in Arizona come November is we're going to be seeing a lot of ballot initiatives. We're going to see, I mean, we already have, there will likely be a multiple page ballot this November, which makes it really confusing. A lot of them are anti-LGBT. A lot of them have to do with voting rights. A lot of them have to do with migration. So it's just going to be the way it is because they can bypass the governor's veto.
Yeah.
So you have put together, Lookout has put together a fantastic legislative tracker. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I'm looking at it right now, and the way you've got it set up is fantastic, but also the number of things that I'm scrolling through is terrifying.
It is. I mean, it's both good and bad. I mean, so we track all the things that we believe are important to our community and our readership. It's obviously not everything. They're looking to have something over 1,000 bills proposed this year, which has never been done before in Arizona. We don't even have the back end system to really, as far as the legislature, to really handle that. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see how this works out. All that to say is that we are currently tracking around 250 bills, both from Democrats and Republicans, on a number of different issues, from immigration and safety to reproduction, and of course to LGBTQ issues. This is not my baby. I can't take full credit for it. We work with a partner called Skywolf that does this for us, and we just we obviously, it's a software system that we use, and it's done through a partner publication called Arizona Agenda, which really kind of makes legislation really Arizona legislation really digestible for common people. And so they gave us the system and we've kind of tracked it. But the way that we do this essentially is kind of say, hey, everybody, these are the bills that we are going to report on in some kind of capacity over the next year or so, next 6 months during our legislative session. And this we're going to keep an eye on for you. That's what we call Eye on the State for our newsletter. And we're going to keep an eye on it for you. And we're going to let you know kind of where these are at during like every single phase. And we're going to let you know how to get involved if you are for it, against it, contact your senator, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they've started seeing Republicans a backlash for all of their obsession with the trans community. Do you see that reflected yet in Arizona, or in terms of the amount of legislation that's being proposed, or are they just sticking with that theme?
I will say we haven't seen a decrease in the number of bills. What we have seen is a shift to the type of bills. So, for example, we expect 2 different anti-LGBT measures on the ballot, because they will sail through the House and they'll sail through the Senate. One of them is a pronoun ban and a ban on trans kids from using bathrooms of their aligned gender. And one is a parental rights bill, a parental rights resolution that would allow parents to gain access to confidential medical records of children that would otherwise be confidential.
Wow.
I unfortunately have to leave it there. Joseph, we're going to have you back because there's so much still to unpack from the great state of Arizona. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Absolutely. Have a great one.
Thank you. Folks, you can read their award-winning reporting at lookoutnews.org. We're going to talk about the caucuses when we come back. You're listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 and WCPT 820.
Hello, Minnesota. This is Tom Hartman, and you can catch me every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's smart radio for smart people.
Are you planning a gathering for your family, friends, or work? Then reserve space at the Park Tavern. The Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces, and they can accommodate any size party, large or small. They have bowling, food, and beverage packages for any budget. And remember, there are no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. And for more information or to schedule an event, call 952-929-6810 or go to parktavern.net. Make your next get-together the best get-together with help from the Park Tavern.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, our job is to help you find a place for fire. Our displays include over 180 models in diverse styles, and we have over 35 burning displays. Come and experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Some say there are only 2 seasons in Minnesota: road construction and winter. Hi, this is Laura, and I agree there are 2 seasons in Minnesota: summer and fireplace season. I bought my wood stove for Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces in 2005, and every season after summer comes the time when we fire up the wood stove, get out our favorite music, and discover the warmth of fire. Our dog Pumpkin remembers the fire too. He stations himself right there, legs up in the air, just enjoying the warmth of the fire. With the wood stove, we are able to keep the main area of the house toasty warm, while the thermostat is set at an energy-efficient 64 degrees. Discover your fireplace season. Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Winter reading, losing yourself under a blanket with the fireplace blazing away while submerging yourself in a book and trying to finish just one more page? Winter nights are the perfect time to read, and that's where Next Chapter Booksellers can help. They're independently owned and have all the bestsellers and new releases. Not sure what to get? Their friendly booksellers are great at recommendations. That's your winter reading headquarters. Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Get ready to zoom into a world full of color, música, and alegría at Children's Theater Company. Go Da Go, Ve Pero Ve is a bilingual musical bursting with playful, high-speed energy as dogs drive, swim, and race to the big dog party. This joyful espectáculo blends English y Espanol with expressive physical storytelling. Go Da Go is sure to have you laughing, moving, and howling with delight. On stage January 20th through February 22nd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 18, tonight cloudy with a low around 8, and Wednesday cloudy with a high near 24. Go or Ve Pero Ve opens this week at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs drive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. Get tickets today at childrenstheater.org. That's childrenstheater.org.
ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950, KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. We are 33 minutes after the hour. Jim Pounds, let's give some people some free tickets.
Okay, if you say so. I have another pair of tickets to Blue Man Group, which is at the State Theater. If you know the State Theater, the beautiful theater on the east side of Hennepin Avenue. And you'll be able to choose whether you want to go Friday night at 7 o'clock, the 13th, or Saturday afternoon, Valentine's Day at 1 o'clock. So when you talk to Patrick and he gets your information, tell him which of those two performances, Friday night at 7, Saturday afternoon at 1. And the phone number to call is 952-946-6205.
And Patrick is our producer in the control room who you'll be speaking to when you call 952-946-6205. So happy that we can be able to give something.
I saw Blue Man Group. I'm going to mention it in Las Vegas, and it is, I cannot even describe it for you. You know, there's sort of a weird ethos about it. And I think a lot of the performances are varied, but it's very unique. So you should go so that you can say, I've seen the Blue Man Group, right?
All right. Well, here's some news that I would say actually suggests that the Trump administration is dialing down the rhetoric and the heat. This morning, the Pentagon, this is according to ABC News reporting, the Pentagon's Northern Command has stood down 1,500 federal troops that were going to supposedly be deployed to Minneapolis. So ABC News is citing 2 U.S. officials off the record, but who have direct knowledge of the situation. It was, if you recall, ABC News who first reported that the 1,500 active duty soldiers from the 11th Airborne Division at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Alaska had been ordered to prepare for a mission to the Twin Cities.
And why Alaska? Because those people know, we were told, how to fight in the conditions we live in. If that isn't terrifying, that the federal government would say something like that to anybody, there it is. Imagine if that target was on your back. That's how terrible that was.
There were additional units that were also put on alert, including 200 Texas National Guard troops who were told to make preparations, though ABC News is reporting that no specific mission was ever outlined. They were put on high alert. There were troops in North Carolina that were put on alert, and now they've been taken off that.
That's gross.
So I guess there's something, evidence that we could point to that maybe the Trump administration is decided to stop. Now, just because the troops are taken off alert doesn't mean that they're going to stop their ICE operations. And so we will continue to report on that. But it is caucus night in Minnesota. I was about to say America, in Minnesota.
Caucuses
I
are
wish,
kind of a unique thing.
that it was November so that we could be having an election.
Yeah.
We still have, 10, 11 months to go until then, but it is caucus night here. So there's a couple of stories that we're watching out for. One is whether or not ICE is going to be showing up to Democratic caucus sites. And this is how bad it's gotten here, folks. When I shared this, the Tom Hartman folks are very, very lovely. They have me come on at once a day on the show, and I give, some reporting of what's happening here. And I just said, and to me, that just seems so normal at this point after 2 months of Operation Metro Surge, that ICE would just be outside Democratic caucus sites. And Tom was like, why are they going there? That is not normal. That is how accustomed already we have become to ICE going around and targeting sites. So
I think you can put war correspondent on your resume now, because
we're all war correspondents.
Yeah.
For the love of share.
Right.
So here are some things that we do know. So the state requires that caucuses are in person. So the DFL could not move them to an online option. However, they have trained over 9,000 people to be legal observers to document any interactions that caucus goers have with ICE, or ICE instigates with caucus goers at the locations throughout Minnesota. I mean, that's a huge number to have 9,000 people. They also will have lawyers at a number of sites that they're deeming essentially would be more likely than not to have ICE agents around. And the DFL has also given police departments all of the locations throughout Minnesota of where the caucus sites are going to be in the event that they need to call, 911 and have them come and address any ICE activity. They've also moved, and I thought this was really interesting, they've moved sites as much as possible, the majority of them on our private property. They're not on public property, which would limit the ability of ICE to just waltz in.
Right.
If it's a public space, a school, all those other public spaces, government building, they can just go in there because they're the federal government. So that is one story that we're going to be watching tonight. The other one is around how will Operation Metro Surge impact how GOP voters are ranking their preferences tonight for their nominee for governor this November. So they'll conduct preference ballots. If you've been to a caucus, then there's the talking. Well, first there's some business, then there's the talking, and then there's the preference voting. Yes, Jim.
Do you have an instinct? I mean, I think Mike Lindell is subhuman, so I can't imagine anyone choosing.
That's your editorial.
An alligator to be governor. But beyond that, I mean, I think it will say something terrible about the Republican Party in Minnesota if they nominate that thing.
Well,
but the rest of them are all kind of, Lisa DeMuth has already been Peter principled. So somebody would have to say, yeah, she was a terrible leader in the House. I wonder if she'll be an even worse governor. I'm trying to think of the thought process.
I think that I'm going to be very curious, because when you see Chris Medell, and folks, please know, Chris Medell was a top 3, according to polling, candidate for the Republican nomination. This is the same guy who volunteered to be Jonathan Ross's lawyer. Right?
Dirt.
Jonathan Ross, the man who shot and killed Renee Nicole Good.
Yeah.
This is the guy who 2 days after Alex Preddy was shot and killed by 2 Customs Border Patrol agents, 2 Saturdays ago, or 1 Saturday, just 2 weeks ago, he dropped out of the race, and also said he's not only dropping out of the race, he's not even going to be a member of the Republican Party, according to his video. He may have changed his mind since then, but when he made the announcement, he says, I am not a member of this party anymore.
Right.
So I think, and when you see the Texas election over the weekend, where a Republican wins by 14 points in a district that Trump won by 17, it makes you wonder how many folks are going to be out there tonight saying, what is the candidate going to do to bring Operation Metro Surge to an end, which puts the candidates in this really weird position. Because, House Speaker DeMuth, she,
like vermouth.
She's been very guarded in how she wants to talk about this,
Of course
right?
she
Because if you come out against ICE, that is basically coming out against the Trump administration, and you apparently can't do that.
But if you don't
as a
come out,
Republican.
if you don't come out against ICE, then you're in favor of murdering civilians.
See, but they were wanting to make all of this about walls and fraud. That was what they were going to be campaigning on. Well, Walls dropped out and said, you know what, we're going to fix this. According to him, he's like, I'm going to fix this, wrap it all up, get it back in where it should be, and then I'm not running for office anymore. That's what he said to MS Now. So that took kind of away their first cudgel. But now Trump has basically made immigration and Operation Metro Surge, that will be the issue in November. So it'll be very weird to me if tonight we're seeing reporting, if we do see reporting rather, of it not coming up and not being an issue that the Republican candidates are going to have to address.
But immigration, it's such a misstatement that, and I know they were never honest about that. They were never truthful about that. It never was about immigration, but a lot of people who voted for them thought, oh yeah, I want to get rid of dangerous gang members. We are watching right at street level. That is not what they are doing. They are abusing citizens of all kinds, abusing businesses, abusing schools, abusing hospitals. They are the worst of the worst. Think of the 10 worst insurrectionists you saw at the Capitol, and they're here on our streets beating up our residents. That's what they call immigration. So they can't defend it on the basis of immigration because it's not what they're doing. So what are you doing? That's what Lisa DeMuth has to answer. Are you in favor of what they're doing? And if you are, then you shouldn't even live in this state.
I
Why don't
think-
you go live in Louisiana or something?
Let's set the ethics and the morality aside, because they've shown that they really don't have that.
Any.
And it's just absolutely bonkers to me that the party of Second Amendment rights is now going around saying you can't bring a gun to protest, which I still don't understand why we haven't seen legislation titled the Donald J. Trump Gun Control Act.
That's right.
Because force him to sign that legislation.
Yep.
You know,
Cannot
force
bring a
them
gun.
force them to reckon, have this fight.
Right.
You know, some people are, oh, that's just, a stunt. Yes, this is politics now. Force them, force the issue, force them to have this debate.
But it's legislation that is consistent
Have
with what the dingbat has said.
legislation. Well, that's what I mean. Have a piece of legislation 3 pages long that says you cannot bring a gun
to a protest.
To protests.
That's right.
And demonstrations.
Right.
And force them to have that debate.
Or we will kill you, because that's what we did. That's what the government did. So
That's what
there's
they did. But force them have that debate.
Yep.
So this is going to be the issue. If you set aside, where was I going with that? If you set aside the ethics and the morality of all of that, how can you look at these stories of what is happening? We all have stories now of seeing something, of hearing something, of having an impacted neighbor, of having an impacted school, of having an impacted business. And the majority of the stories seem to be that the people who are being detained have no criminal record and have legal paperwork, a green card, a legal visa. So the idea that they would be running either as a House member or as a Senate member or running for governor, and they're going to be mealy-mouthed about it and not have any type of response, it's not going to be good enough to say Operation Metro Surge went too far. But now, we're moving away from that. That will not be good enough. The trauma that has been inflicted upon this state, and the cleanup that we are going to have to do, that the next governor and the next legislature is going to have to do, it is not going to be good enough to say, well, yes, we should just refocus the mission on people who are committing crimes, and we'll just, take the troops and have them be off. We won't have the troops anymore. That's not enough.
No. Because they're going to go to another place, as we were just hearing from Arizona. They are going to do this. Stephen Miller's intention.
But we're talking about Minnesota legislature, not at the federal level. We're talking about.
But the idea of them leaving the state of Minnesota, which might make us feel better, means somebody else is going to get it between the eyes. And I'm not. No Republican should be elected that supports any part of this bullying and battering of legal residents, of business owners. Do you know how many businesses they've ruined?
Yes.
In the last 9 weeks or 10 weeks?
North Star Policy Action was saying that this is costing us around $80 million.
It's criminal.
Businesses are shutting down. How are you going to get those businesses up and running again?
Right. Well, you're not.
It's that's what they're going to have to deal with, is the rebuilding of that. And Republicans better have, and they're not going to have a comprehensive policy around this. When we come back, we're going to have a candidate who's going to talk to us about caucusing tonight and what to expect and how to find your caucus location. More after the break.
Blue Man Group's North American tour is.
Hey, Elijah. Long time no see. You're on a hot mic. We're still live on our YouTube feed right now.
Awesome.
But good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. Since we're live now, we're going to switch back over to the live feed, so you'll hear the commercials that are airing live. Do you see the private chat on the right-hand side of your screen?
I do.
Okay, in there, I will put the time cues of how much time is left in the break. It's about just over 2 minutes left in the break.
Awesome.
Cool. Do you have any questions for me?
Nope, good to go. Just
All
talking
right.
about precinct caucus stuff. I'm sure I get an opportunity to talk a little bit about my campaign, who I am.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll put you in the background right now, and then we'll bring you back on when we bring you on, so you don't have to be there through all the intro stuff when we come back.
Excellent. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Hard for you. Hey, this is Andy Edo, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride and your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Our community needs your help. Twin Cities Pride is collecting donations to help our local community in need. We're collecting everything from shelf-stable food, household cleaning supplies, infant care items, and personal care products at our Pride Cultural Arts Center. If you're looking to help, reach out to us at info@tcpride.org or just stop by 1201 Harmon Place in Minneapolis. It's our time to take care of our community and take care of each other all year long.
Hey, Francois, have you made any New Year's resolutions?
No.
Well, mine is to learn some French. Can you help me?
Bien sûr.
How do you say this? Can I buy you?
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter
Macaroons from Nicolette's.
des macarons de Nicolette?
Now, say it all at once.
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter des macarons de Nicolette?
Oh, absolutely. I'll have a box of raspberry rose, blueberry cheesecake, and chocolate.
Mais c'est quoi ça?
Thank you, Francois. You can order them online at nicoletsmacaroons.com or visit their store in Plymouth. Merci.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. We're already at the top of the hour. And Patrick, were we able to give away those tickets?
Yes, we were. Congratulations to our winner.
That's great.
Oh, I guess we don't have to have it.
It's none of your
Okay, fine.
It's none of your business.
Fine. I love giving away free things. All right.
right, then.
Congratulations to the person who called in. All right. So we gave our reporting about Minnesota Caucus Night, and we have given our editorial about what to expect about Minnesota Caucus Night. But how does one go about doing the caucusing this evening? So I'm very happy that our next guest is Elijah Norris Holiday. Mr. Norris Holiday is a candidate for Minnesota House District 39B. He has served as planning manager for Ramsey Office of Safety and Justice, as a national consultant with the Annie E. Casey Foundation, and he founded Project Restore Minnesota, which is a private nonprofit social enterprise serving young adults up to and beyond the age of 24, as I've just learned, who are residing in the Twin Cities. Full transparency, if elected, Mr. Norris Holiday would be representing me because I live in House District 39B, and also very glad to have you back because earlier today, Elijah and I and State Senator Mary Kunesh had a fantastic conversation taking a look at Columbia Heights, which is one of the cities most targeted by Operation Metro Surge. So we put together an episode for you, really honing in into what's happening over there, what can be done over there. We're going to air that episode this Thursday at 2 p.m. Here in Minneapolis in the evening hours on WCPT 820. But Mr. Norris Holiday, great to see you again today.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Jim, for allowing me back on the platform. Glad to be here and looking forward to talking a little bit about my campaign and how folks can still get involved because there's still time to show up to precinct caucuses tonight.
All right, take it away. How do folks caucus? Where do they get their information? And tell us about your campaign.
Yep, absolutely. So if you live in District 39B, you can caucus tonight, starting at 6 p.m. They're asking folks to get there early to register, but everything officially begins at 7 o'clock at Columbia Academy. I personally will be there at about 5:45. Definitely looking forward to talking with constituents, talking with neighbors about issues that they care about, and talking about my campaign. You also could go on my website, which is votenorrisholiday.com, and then you can also fill out the information there, and we'll send you a message, a text, or an email with further instructions on how you can participate. If you are not able to make it in person, you still can participate in our democracy at the convention by filling out a non-attendee form. I'm also happy to share that information with you if you reach out via email, which is Elijah for House 39B gmail.com.
We were seeing some reporting about what the DFL is doing in terms of protecting folks or just guarding against ICE activity. Have you heard about things that may be happening at your caucus site tonight in terms of legal observers? Because I know like over 9,000 people were trained by the party to be essentially on alert.
Yeah, I'm super excited that there are protective measures in place for people to come out and participate. We do not want folks staying at home. This is a really great time for you to be involved, to help elect your next representatives. And so I'm glad to hear that the DFL is actually taking some efforts to protect people and exercising their democratic rights. I have not heard anything personally, so thank you for sharing that with me, John, and just giving me the assurance that the DFL party is being mindful of that.
So I am curious, what can folks... I know a lot of folks now are way more politically active than they used to be, and will be taking advantage of a caucus night in maybe a way that they've never had before because they want political leaders to be addressing Operation Metro Surge. What can they expect tonight when they get there? Like, what will the process be when they get into the room?
Yep. So there's a registration. You'll be assigned to your precinct room when you get there. They'll tell you where to go. You give folks your address, and everyone will be able to go into their precinct rooms. I'm sure there will be some rules of engagement because we'll have candidates there talking about why they're running, trying to get people support. And you'll also have the opportunity to talk about certain platform issues that you want the DFL to take up at the convention. And you can also nominate yourself as a delegate or an alternate to participate in the process at the DFL convention, which is going to be next month.
Perfect. And give us the pitch. Why are you running?
Yeah, so I'm running because I care deeply about this district and the kind of community that we're building and sustaining. This is where I chose to buy a house. This is where I'm choosing to raise my son because I want him to grow up with access to clean water, clean air, safe neighborhoods, and people who look out for one another and care for one another. My professional experience includes working as the Youth Justice Transformation Planning Manager for Ramsey County. I came into that position because of my lived experience, being someone that's been directly impacted by the criminal justice system. And full transparency, I struggled to get a job when I graduated college. I had 2 felonies on my record. When I was going to go apply for jobs, I would get the job interview. I would go there. I would have my suit on. I would, definitely impress the panelists that was there interviewing me. They would extend the job offer. And I had many job offers rescinded because of my background check. I've never done anything violent to anyone. I've never been involved in any violent activity. I made some poor decisions as a college student, and I've experienced firsthand what it's like when we don't have a true system that wants to rehabilitate people and support people and believes in restorative practices and restorative justice and giving people another chance. So because of that, I formed my own organization, Project Restore Minnesota, to help support young people that are being impacted by the system, to help families navigate a very complex, cumbersome system, and to give resources for young people as they navigate those systems, as well as to invest in upstream investments and wraparound services to prevent young people and families from going into the system in the first place. I also care strongly about our environment. And so I want to continue to support the legislation that Representative Sandra Feiser introduced, which is to create a 50-year clean water plan. Last session, she was able to secure some initial funding to get the project off the ground. And I would like to figure out ways to get additional dollars so we can cover the cost for the additional phases. And that will be one of my key priorities. Also supporting the carbon-free 2040 plan that was passed. And I want to continue to support that as well. As well as bringing my experience with restorative practices into the legislature, not only to expand on the offices of restorative practices that's now in the Department of Children and Family Services through supporting legislation to continue that funding and to help them build that out, but to also bring my restorative practices as my own approach to collaborating with people and to help heal our political system that we have in the state.
Perfect. I've got 30 seconds left. How can folks connect with you? Give us that website one more time.
Yep, the website is votenorrisholiday.com. You can connect with me through email, elijahforhouse39b@gmail.com. All my information is on there. Please reach out, and we'd love to have conversations with you all.
Perfect. Elijah, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciated it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right, folks. In Chicago on WCPT 820, up next is not Choose Views. It's Democracy Now! I've forgotten what time of day it is. In Minneapolis, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, Step Into the Unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. And until this time, tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.